Rogan said that he is strongly considering voting for Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary election, and woke Twitter literally lost their minds. But what's new, right? Let's talk about it. So in a recent interview with Barry Wise, Joe Rogan had her on and she asked, well, who are you considering voting for in the Democratic primary election? Now, there should be a couple of things clarified first, because I feel like we should also clarify his comments for those who are curious. He did not technically endorse Bernie. He said he was thinking about voting for Bernie, probably. He also said he was thinking about voting for Tulsi and actually went on a huge tirade why he likes Tulsi Gabbard. And he already said that he was voting for Tulsi a few months ago. He endorsed her around when, I think the second time he had her on a podcast, first time during the election. He also, like I said before people started freaking out, I even said, I'm like, bro, Joe be high, so you got to forgive him sometimes. He also reneged on his comments. He said, I don't just mean, I said the other day that I only support Tulsi and Bernie and everyone else can eat shit. What he meant to say was he supports Tulsi, Bernie, and Andrew Yang. So Yang Gang, relax. I told y'all sometimes Joe just be a little high. He just be a little high. So every now and then he be saying some things that he just be forgetting he says, and you just gotta go with the flow. If you know who Joe Rogan is, he always ultimately ends up correcting himself. And he even said during that interview that he felt really bad about it, because he really does genuinely like Andrew Yang, because he even said during his podcast with Jimmy Dore that the only people he's let on in his podcast as far as political campaigns are concerned are the candidates that he actually genuinely likes. So I figured most people would have put two and two together, but in case you did not, he further clarified. So let me just make that clear. We already knew he liked Bernie Sanders, right? I feel like that should have already been known. He already made it clear he likes Tulsi, and he made it clear before that he likes Yang. Now he's making it clear once again that he did not, mean any harm to the Yang gang. He likes Yang too. But today's conversation is about Bernie Sanders, because he did say that he was probably considering voting for Bernie Sanders. And to be honest with you, it's not all that surprising that he said that. If anybody wants to freak out, you just have to think about it from the perspective of he's a voter in the California Democratic primary. So he's basing his logic, most likely, off of the assumption that Bernie will probably have it sewed up by the time the California primary hits. And if that's the case, then that is likely who Joe Rogan is going to vote for. Of course, that is me being presumptuous. That is mere speculation. I don't know if that's the facts, but I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of a voter in the California Democratic primary. This isn't the New Hampshire primary. This isn't the Iowa caucus. This isn't even Nevada or South Carolina. This is a primary that is over a month away, that we know is happening basically after about 3 out of 4 states Bernie Sanders is damn near all but guaranteed to win. So I think that's where a lot of his logic came from. But once again, if you're a Tulsi supporter, don't freak out. He also said he's still thinking about voting for Tulsi, and he likes Tulsi, and he went on a tirade about how much he loves her and put Barry Wise right in her place once again. And he also said he likes Andrew Yang as well. So this is Joe, right? Let's not freak out every time he says something that contradicts what he said a week ago. His general stances remain the same. But this is not about necessarily Joe Rogan, but woke Twitter. Woo, woke Twitter. Don't you just love woke Twitter? Whenever I feel like some issue might be morally ambiguous, I always go to woke Twitter, because they're going to tell me what I better accept, what I better not like, and what I better not support, or else I'm going to be canceled. I honestly don't know what I would do without woke Twitter. How would I possibly? My moral compass isn't good enough for politics on social media. That's why we have woke Twitter, aka resist Twitter, aka bot Twitter, aka neoliberal Twitter. If they ain't tell me what to be mad at, well, I'll just be happy all the time, y'all. I might just be happy when shit happens. I wouldn't question whether or not it's inappropriate for me to be happy about something happening. Because that's basically what happened with this Joe Rogan situation. Bernie Sanders used his marketing team used the quote from Joe Rogan's interview or Joe Rogan's podcast, and which was smart on his behalf. And woke Twitter literally had a field day. So you know the rules, ladies and gentlemen, right? What's the rules? The rule is before you do anything else, the first place you go to figure out how you should feel is Neera Tanden's Twitter. That's right. Shout out to all my MCSE fans for being here for a minute. You know the Neera Tanden rule. You go to Neera Tanden's Twitter first, and however she feels, whatever she thinks is right, the opposite is true. Okay? The opposite. So let's go ahead and test this theory real quick. Quick. All right, so here we are. Neera Tanden's Twitter. So Ryan Grimm tweeted out that Rogan is part of our politics and has millions of people who listen to him. Nothing you can do can change that. You can either have him in the Sanders tent in conversation with people with decent values or cast him out into the arms of Trump. The latter will do far more harm. I do think that might be a bit presumptuous on Ryan's behalf because woke Twitter has been not liked Joe Rogan and he is still not gone into the hands of Trump. He actually laughs at Trump pretty regularly. He doesn't take Trump seriously most times. He can admit when Trump is being treated unfairly. He can praise Trump whenever Trump, the very few times out of his candidacy or out of his presidency, that he's deserved to be praised. He's given him praise, like in North Korea, situations like that. But he could have been in the arms of Donald Trump, and he consciously chose not to. Instead, he voted for Gary Johnson in 2016, which is the only time that he had not voted as a Democrat. So I think that should be clarified. I don't like this idea of people just putting Joe Rogan into this box, and I'm sure that he doesn't like it either, to be honest with you. Neera Tanden argues with Ryan, and she says this same argument applies to Tucker Carlson. Everyone cool with accepting his endorsement? I mean, if Tucker Carlson, one of, if not the face of Fox News, which is the home of millions of conservative voters who, last time I checked, still can largely, right, still can vote in the Democratic primary and also definitely are going to vote in the primary election. If Tucker Carlson endorsed Bernie or Tulsi, I think that that's a win because we know how much he hates socialism, quote unquote. We know how much he generally hates the average run-of-the-mill Democrat, but we also know that Tucker Carlson is anti-war, and where he disagrees with Tulsi and Bernie both on economics, he 100% agrees with Tulsi on that her anti-regime change war stances, and by extension, the majority of Bernie's anti-regime change war stances. So if I don't understand how Tucker Carlson's endorsement is a bad thing when you need conservatives to vote for you in the general election. I'm so confused, y'all. Real quick, wasn't the whole reason that they were championing Joe Biden at the beginning of this race was because they were claiming that Joe Biden could reach across the aisle and get some of those former Donald Trump voters? Get some of those conservatives. Don't those conservatives watch Fox News? Don't those conservatives actually, I don't know, care about what Tucker Carlson says, considering that he is Fox News, right? Basically, if you thought of like a face, the first face you would think of Fox News is Tucker Carlson. Don't you need those voters? Last I checked, I think you do. So Neera Tanden goes on to say this because Neera Tanden is just so woke it hurts. People should be honest. They think the ends justify the means, but that doesn't sound very progressive when they've been lecturing everyone on purity tests for years. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the Neera Tanden rule is foolproof. I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back real quick. Pretty sure that was the best rule I've ever come up with in politics. It's pretty simple. I think everybody can understand it. I think so. And let me just address this tweet real quick because I think it needs to be addressed. How many times, not just Neera Tanden, ladies and gentlemen, not just Neera Tanden, but just in general, how many times has Neera Tanden and other Democrats vehemently attacked progressives because of our so-called purity tests, like not taking money from the corporations who want to screw us over? You know, things like not wanting to bomb brown people overseas. You know, not wanting to overthrow the Venezuelan or Bolivian government. Our purity test, man. You're right, Neera. We're way too pure for your politics. I get it. But how many times has Neera Tanden attacked us over the purity test and then literally gives us a whole lesson in purity test? Like, not even just 5 seconds ago. Didn't I just read y'all the tweet? She's mad at the potentiality for an endorsement, or she wouldn't support the potentiality for an endorsement from Tucker Carlson. And she would expect us not to accept that endorsement because she clearly has an issue with an endorsement from Joe Rogan, who is actually a Democrat historically and has always been a Democrat. But then she will turn around in the same breath, look at progressives and say, you motherfuckers and your purity test. How dare you? You don't want to win. Boy, Democrats. Y'all know what Democrats remind me of? Y'all remember in your math classes or your U.S. history classes? This is, for some of y'all young people, this is before y'all time. You get that big old projector. That big old projector could project from anywhere in the room. And you just knew the moment you walked into class, when you saw that projector, you better start taking notes. That's basically the Democratic Party. You walk into a Democratic Party meeting, you know you're going to get some projection. That's what's going to happen. Them overhead projectors, that should be the new logo of the Democratic Party, and I'm not even joking. It would be so fitting. Now, I had a response to Neera because I just, me, I'm not down with the fake woke politics. So, because she's so concerned, she said we shouldn't accept endorsements from Tucker Carlson. I just had to remind her, Henry Kissinger endorsed Hillary Clinton. Not only that, but Hillary Clinton also said that Henry Kissinger was one of her idols, ladies and gentlemen. One of her idols. One of the people she supports most. I remember because Bernie made it clear, I will not go to Henry Kissinger for advice. She's in her own world when it comes to that. Henry Kissinger is a literal murderer. He is a murderer. But we want to be mad at, like, there's so many reasons to have legitimate critiques of Tucker Carlson. But you know what you do if he decides to endorse you? You'd be happy that an anti-war conservative endorsed you, and you use that endorsement, hopefully, in the mandate that endorsement gives you to win over his supporters with your economics. Nothing in this life is guaranteed, especially in politics. It is earned. No vote should be taken as a given. You shouldn't just assume people should like your policies. No, you're going to have to work to get them passed. You're going to have to do a lot of work to convince people that your policies are working for them. But as long as you maintain the main reason that this person endorsed you, which is anti-war, if you're in the case of Tucker Carlson, then you will have ample opportunity to prove them right on economics, or prove Tucker Carlson wrong and say, look, I know I'm anti-war and that's why you endorse me, but there are actually more reasons you should support me. And these are the reasons why. I'm just saying, Tucker Carlson doesn't endorse anybody, but I'm saying, based off of Neera Tanden's logic, we should literally not accept the endorsement of the face of Fox News because of purity tests. The purity tests that you hate until it's time for you to try and use them in this super weird and twisted way. Whatever. I mean, I guess. Neera Tanden, everybody. The Neera Tanden rule comes through in the clutch once again. Makes politics super easy when you're progressive. So, let's look at some of these other fake woke people. This one is Nasty Woman 1012 or something like that. I don't really care. Ladies and gentlemen, This woman responded to Bernie Sanders' post, and she said, "It's been 7 hours. Why is this tweet up?" Referring to Bernie Sanders, celebrating the fact that Joe said that he would consider voting for him. She goes on to say, "Every moment it's up, our LGBTQ friends feel unsafe." Whoa. Wow, that went from 0 to 100 real quick. All right. "I set a timer to comment, on this post every hour until it's removed." Okay, first of all, Ashley, I'm gonna need you to get Tinder or Bumble or a job or a life. If the most important thing in your world is making sure you go to Bernie Sanders' post every hour to comment on an endorsement, you got issues that Bernie Sanders deleting a post cannot help. And we really need you to strongly consider getting your treasure map out, taking your compass out, right? Maybe even going to your Google Maps app or your Maps app, or going to Waze. And I need you to set your location, go to destination and type in a life and find that shit immediately, bro. Seriously, that is not healthy, and we need to get that together. But either way, my response was simply, feel unsafe. Do you feel unsafe every time Warren is still in the race, considering that she was a member of the quote-unquote anti-LGBTQ party not too long ago, ladies and gentlemen? Did you feel unsafe when Hillary Clinton as the nominee, considering her views only changed literally when she announced in 2016, because that was when equal rights for marriage became legal? I'm just curious. I'm curious. Because here's why I asked that question. Now you see what her name is. It says Ashley will caucus for Warren on 2/22/20. That is so crazy. Because that would mean that you are completely unconcerned with Warren literally being a member of the Republican Party who boldly touts their LGBTQ views. Boldly and unapologetically. Okay? So in order for you to have a problem with Joe Rogan, assuming that he can't evolve, assuming that he's even homophobic to begin with, because he's not, he's really not. Okay? If you've watched this podcast, you would know this. But he's not. But let's assume that maybe at one point he was like literally 95% of the other country. You're saying that it was cool. It was cool for Warren to evolve once it was politically convenient for her to do so. But it wasn't, it's not okay for Rogan to have evolved on an issue that, by the way, I'm not even sure he's had to evolve much on. That's so interesting. But you weren't demanding, because one, you can't be demanding that like that people remove their endorsements from Warren, or being upset at anyone that Warren endorsed, or the fact that she's even running for president. You can't be, because you're literally supporting Elizabeth Warren. Now, with all due respect to Tulsi Gabbard, because I know I've endorsed Tulsi Gabbard. With all due respect, there's only one person in this race that I can say definitively so, and maybe Pete Buttigieg too, for obvious reasons. But I can say definitively, there's only one person in this race that actually got that issue 100% right from the beginning, from the time that video became available to the public, and that was Bernie Sanders. But yet, you literally are supporting the woman, because I'm basing this assumption that Joe Rogan can't evolve, and that Warren, if she couldn't have evolved, right? According to Ashley will caucus for Warren, according to her, Warren couldn't have evolved because Joe Rogan couldn't have evolved. And if Warren couldn't have evolved, then why is Ashley caucusing for Joe Rogan on February 22nd, 2020? Not Joe Rogan, excuse me, Elizabeth Warren. I'm confused. I just don't get it. Which one is it? See, that's the problem. They don't really care about LGBTQ issues. They don't really care. That they're mad that Joe Rogan, somebody who is infinitely more popular than damn near every presidential candidate except for 3 or 4 maybe. And I would say he's more liked than almost all of them except for 3. They just can't stand the fact that he endorsed a progressive, the one who is gaining momentum right now. that is seemingly unstoppable at this point. That's what their problem is. You know what? I find it funny too, as we continue on through woke Twitter. I find it funny. You know, the other day, you ain't got a major endorsement. You ain't got a major endorsement from Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, ladies and gentlemen, that's not small potatoes of an endorsement. And Dave Chappelle is also another comedian who has made what's the word I'm looking for? His jokes aren't exactly above the fray. But you know what? And this is gonna sound weird as shit coming from a black man, but as a black man, I know this to be true. There's no way in hell the entire Democratic Party would even think about dogpiling on a black man about how offended they should be that he endorsed an Asian man. They would never do it. They know better. They will, some, of woke Twitter attacked him in the context of his comedy, but like as part of comedy, whatever. But they would never do that because they know better. And it's because he's black. It's hard to play identity politics whenever one of the main identities marginalized is not on your team, and that's who you're trying to attack. Remember, this is the same Dave Chappelle who likes Bernie Sanders, likes Andrew Yang, and does not like Hillary Clinton. And the reason I bring up Dave Chappelle is because of this. Joe Rogan is a podcaster. He is also the host of, he hosts a lot of UFC fights. He commentates, I should say, on a lot of UFC fights. He has MMA fighters on his podcast. He has politicians on his podcast. But people keep forgetting Joe Rogan is a comedian. Most of the time when he says something that's like off-putting to somebody who is like enveloped in this PC culture, it's because he's trying to be like overly ridiculous for shock value, and it is what it is. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it's a miss. But last I checked, Amy Schumer endorsed Hillary Clinton. Do y'all remember that? Because I definitely do. I definitely remember that shit. Amy Schumer uses so many racist tropes, and it's to the point where it's like unnecessary. Like that's the majority of her shit. And it isn't, well, not only, she's a joke stealer, so that's it. The only thing that she's ever said that's probably funny, she stole from somebody else. But on top of that, her racist tropes and her racist jokes aren't even fucking funny. But not a single soul had an issue when Amy Schumer endorsed Hillary Clinton. What a damn surprise. White women get away with what? Oh, it's different when a racist white woman endorses another racist white woman, but when a comedian who was being funny who's a white guy, endorses the other white guy who's been pro-LGBTQ for his entire life, all of a sudden, they can't get it. They don't understand it. What a surprise. Joe's a comedian, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Now let's look at what Will said. Mr. Sturper. This isn't somebody he's from the other woke Twitter, that side of woke Twitter, the conservative side of woke Twitter. Joe isn't stupid. He knows socialism is a total failure everywhere it's tried. Even America, as we give rich people a bunch of money. But he also knows that under almost every socialist state yet, the well-connected and the powerful get to live cushy lives while the public suffer. The well-connected and the powerful? Man, hey, somebody better go tell Nicolas Maduro that being a bus driver, he got to go back and retroactively change his career. Can't be a bus driver in a socialist state and be successful. Man, what? Now, I will give Will some credit now. See, Will does understand something, and I don't think he didn't even mean to actually say this, but he's actually expressing something that is true in America. We do have socialism in America, but it's simply socialism for the rich. In case you didn't know. Now, with socialism for the rich, it's kind of like socialism for the poor, except for socialism for the rich is an experiment that we have absolutely allowed since the Reagan era, whereas quote unquote socialism for the poor has never been allowed. Where it has been allowed in short bursts, there's way too much success when we go bring some democracy to their ass. Also, Bernie Sanders isn't a socialist. Although I will say this, Joe Rogan actually is a full-blown socialist. He's admitted it, which is funny when you think about it. But he's straight up was like, yeah, full-blown socialist. He actually thanks Bernie Sanders for that, even though Bernie Sanders himself isn't even a full-blown socialist. So we have one of these people. He's on the other side of it. You know how I always tell everybody, what's my motto? Social justice warrior hood. Okay. That is not only limited to the left. The right, just as bad, just as guilty as social justice warriordom, if that's even a word. Oh, this one's fun. This is Sarah Wood. Good to know you actively welcome transphobic misogynists into your campaign. Question, which campaign was it where the guy actually got found guilty of sexually assaulting multiple staffers and Hillary kept him in the campaign after that? Like after it was already well known? Just out of curiosity, I can't remember which camp. Oh, damn, I already gave the answer away. It was Hillary Clinton. I completely forgot. Completely. Hey, just real quick. Bill Clinton. Real quick. Who was one of the largest donors to the Democrats, and most specifically Hillary Clinton and her little projects? Oh, that's right. Harvey Weinstein. I completely forgot. That's right. And remember what Hillary Clinton said. She said we couldn't possibly have known that except for, I remember Dame Dash. If you don't know who Dame Dash is, he used to be one half of Rockefeller Records. It's the rock. He told a story about how he had to slap Harvey Weinstein. I bet y'all didn't know that. Because it was well known throughout Hollywood what he was doing. It was well known, well documented. It wasn't known to us because we're not part of the Hollywood clique. And you know how Hollywood is. They keep some stuff. They are good at keeping some things in check. But Dame Dash slapped Harvey Weinstein because he didn't really give a shit about all the extra stuff. This is Dame Dash. Like, you know what kind of guy Dame is. He's from Harlem. Like, just a different type of dude. And it was because of some of the actions of Harvey Weinstein. And he had been trying to tell people about Harvey Weinstein. A lot of people have been trying to talk about Harvey Weinstein. Remember, they silenced him at every step of the way? Even the original woman who came up with the Me Too movement was silenced. They didn't even bring her up to talk. They brought like Oprah, who was a good friend of Harvey Weinstein. Hillary Clinton defended her husband and not even criticized, attacked his sexual assault victims. It's so, once again, woke Twitter. It's crazy how much, and once again, I think the most quote unquote transphobic thing that Joe Rogan has ever said was, I would prefer if you were a natural born man to not get a sex change and then literally go dominate female sports. That takes away from the spirit of the sport. It's just simply not fair. It's just not. I don't really care if you disagree with that. This is a biological fact. I'm not saying you can't live your life, but like, let's be realistic and fair about this. It's like, for example, Derek Jeter is half black. I bet a lot of people didn't know that. Biracial angel. I didn't know that until I was like in middle school or high school. Just because if you look at Derek Jeter is clearly white passing. Yes or no? Absolutely. Do you think that Derek Jeter, and you might have put multiracial, but do you think it would be fair for Derek Jeter to put black to get a full ride scholarship? Say if he never played baseball a day in his life. Do you think it would have been fair for Derek Jeter with green eyes, white skin, thin hair, about as Caucasian as a Caucasian person could look, just looks like he got a little bit of a tan? Like, he doesn't even look like he's half black. He looks like he's mixed with like Latino, but he's half black. Do you think it would be fair for him to put black exclusively on an application to get the edge on other black people who have actually lived that struggle? No, it wouldn't be fair. Why would that be fair? Like, at a certain point, common sense has to kick in. It would not be fair for Derek Jeter to go in there and try and put black when he knows he's not, like, he's white passing as white passing can get. So it's the same thing. So if that's what you're considering transphobic, where Joe Rogan said, yo, man, if you were born a man, please just don't. It's not fair. Don't play in women's sports. Like, just be fair. That's it. That's it. Jordan, I see you said, is Obama not black now? Nah, but the thing is, Obama, so the difference between, so here's what real blackness means, right? I don't like to pigeonhole people, but I just want people to think about real life, right? However you react to something initially is generally, because that's why I consider race. Race isn't necessarily what you consider yourself, but the unintentional or unintended consequences from other people's perception of your race. For example, my girlfriend was from Alabama, right? And Derek Jeter walks in. I'm like, well, that's a mighty tan young fella there, but you know, we can accept him. He got green eyes, got fine hair, and he looks like he's one of us. A little bit darker, but probably one of us. All right. Now, if Nico House walked in there, or Barack Obama walked in there, I'm like, get that nagger out of my house. That's how you know if you're white passing or not. Simple as that. So easy. It's too easy. That's what I mean. Like, I hate when people say, well, Obama's not even full black. Nah, bro, Obama's black. Good God, if you couldn't tell by the black lips and the skin tone and the hair texture, you could damn sure tell by Barack Hussein Obama. Like, that's already bad enough. I don't know why his parents did that to him. That was so rude. But they didn't know that we was going to go through everything we went through. So it's crazy to me when people try and tell me that, like, Joe Rogan did all this stuff, and I'm like, I've seen a lot of the things that Joe Rogan has done that would be off-putting to people. His comedy isn't for everybody. We already know this, bruh. Like, but neither is Dave Chappelle's. He is you gotta remember, his generation, yo, is the anti-PC culture generation. This is the generation that grew up watching Richard Pryor. This is the generation, he grew up side by side with Dave Chappelle, with Eddie Murphy. Really? You really think that he's gonna push the boundaries because that's what he's supposed to do as a comedian? Sometimes he hits the nail on the head, other time he misses, and it is what it is. It is what it is. But that's just it. But once again, you're gonna keep that energy about Joe Rogan, but Amy Schumer is, I'm pretty damn sure, like Joe Rogan, he's not racist. I don't think Joe Rogan's racist at all. I'm pretty damn sure Amy Schumer is a racist. Pretty sure of it. And yet, where was all the outrage? Now, I do remember some progressives being rightfully outraged with Amy Schumer. Because they're like, really? Like, her jokes are just not good. How you gonna be racist and not funny? If you're racist and not funny, you're just an asshole. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, you know who's low-key kind of racist, but like in the funniest way possible? Like, Bernie Mac said some funny shit. I see somebody mention Chris Rock in the comments. Chris Rock, same thing. Chris Rock is like that. Cedric the Entertainer is very much like, he's not racist, but he just is like, bro, white people got their habits, black people got their habits, and it's funny as hell sometimes to make fun of their habits because of their cultural differences. That's fine. It's comedians. Like, I don't know how else can I say they're comedians, bro? They're just comedians doing what comedians do. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. But once again, when you're Amy Schumer and it's never funny, you're not, like, it's not comedy. You're just an asshole and a racist. So I want to see Twitter keep that same energy. Go ahead, woke Twitter. Go jump on Amy Schumer. All right. I'm serious. I want to see y'all keep that same energy now. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are about this. Like this video, share this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. Also, if you have not yet, go ahead and click in my description and download the Brave browser. It has all the power of Google Chrome, except for its open source, crypto based, and it's, I mean, just dope overall. Everybody who has downloaded said it's so much better. It's so much faster. Every time you watch, like, say it doesn't have any ads on YouTube at all, period. But they make up for it because the longer you watch verified Brave creators like myself, Brave pays us, or you can tip us directly through the Brave browser. So it's amazing. They don't track you. You can use VPN, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody who loves it, they just said they just had such a better time with it. They loved it. Copernicus Thinker, U.S. politics has gone so right wing that in Europe, Bernie would merely be a moderate to liberal. That's actually very true. Very, very true. Bernie is actually probably about as centrist as you can get. Like, if you were talking about a true definition of a centrist, he's about as centrist as you can get. Like, sometimes he does think that regime change war is okay. Most times he does not. Most times he doesn't. Sometimes he does, unfortunately. He's not a full-blown socialist, but he believes in common sense safety nets. Like, that's literally the middle. He didn't say he likes UBI. He's like, I want to give you a job so you can have a guaranteed income every month. I'm not going to give you a guaranteed income every month. Like, he's literally in the middle. Tulsi and Bernie, and even Yang to a degree, are all centrists. They're not even that far left. Tulsi is about, if you want to talk about just actual case-by-case policies, like, Tulsi is about as far left overall when you consider her anti-war stances than any other candidates, and even she's still a centrist by, like, normal people standards, but centrism in the United States has a completely and totally different meaning than what it does in reality. All right, peeps. Appreciate you all sticking around. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rockfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.